Well, now let's bring in Ken Timmerman. He's author of The Election Heist, member of the National Security and Foreign Policy Board for the Trump campaign, and 2006 Nobel Peace Prize nominee. Ken, thanks for being with us tonight.
Pleasure to be here with you.
Well, sir, you also wrote an op-ed for the New York Post recently saying Biden owns the fall of Kabul. And today we saw him blame the Trump administration. We saw him blame the Afghan army. He is certainly not taking accountability for it.
No, he's not. And it was really an extraordinary thing to watch this statement by the president today blaming everybody but himself. He said the buck stops here, but obviously the buck stopped at everybody else's desk. Look, I appreciated what Representative Mark Green had to say today. I think it was very, very important. One of the lessons we need to take away from this is what's going to happen to the translators. We see those people in Kabul swarming the airport. They're desperate, trying to escape. They know what's going to happen to them. The Taliban has told them what's going to happen to them. The Taliban is already going door to door, not just in Kabul, but in other places. They're looking for Christians in Iraq. And if you want to know what it's like to be somebody who has worked for the United States and then gets betrayed, read this book, ISIS Begins, which I put out a couple of years ago about a translator in Iraq. So that's another war in Iraq, but we know how this ends. It ends in tragedy when we betray our allies on the ground, which is what we have just done in Kabul.
You know, Ken, I suspect that one of the reasons that we were not well prepared, and look, most of the blame has to flow to the commander-in-chief, but I suspect another reason that we were not really prepared for what happened this weekend in Afghanistan is that the military leadership in the Pentagon is unfortunately, I would say, majoring in the minors, focused on things that really don't matter, that are extraneous to its mission. For example, let's listen to the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Milley, talk about so-called white rage. Here he is.
And the United States Military Academy is a university, and it is important that we train and we understand, and I want to understand white rage, and I'm white, and I want to understand it.
So, Ken, he is supposed to be the tip of the spear, our top military officer, and he's worrying about sort of PC buzzwords and reading ridiculous books about so-called white rage, whatever that means. Has he taken his eye off the ball, and is that representative of a problematic military leadership right now in the Pentagon?
Well, it is, but I will say one thing about Mark Milley and all of the woke leaders that Biden has appointed. They realized on Thursday that Biden's announcement of this withdrawal was a disaster, and they switched it around. They said, okay, we're going to send 3,000 troops back. Then they said it's going to be 5,000 troops. Now they're saying 6,000. Now they're saying 8,000. So even those woke leaders, the so-called woke leaders, understood that this decision by the President of the United States, the Commander-in-Chief, was a disaster. Biden owns this. He owns this because he is the one who told them to withdraw. He's the one who announced it. He said, this is how it's going to be. He can't blame this on Trump. He can't blame this on Ashraf Ghani or anyone else.
Let me ask you quickly, we only have about 30 seconds left, but you say the blame is on Biden. Vice President Harris, back in April, she was touting the fact that she was the last one in the room before President Biden made the decision to withdraw. And now she is notably absent. We haven't heard anything from her in the past couple of days.
Well, let's see if she's going to now throw Biden, her president, under the bus. That is something that could definitely happen in the weeks to come. Look, the clocks were wrong in those photos when he was supposed to be at Camp David. There's a lot of fakery going on. We are now governed by a ministry of truth in Washington, D.C. It's a dangerous time for America and America's freedoms and for the troops.
Indeed it is. Ken Timmerman, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you.